Sounds like we're just going to have to introduce this conversation this morning because it is quite a heavy one. Remember we had that conversation last week with Kingsley about stemming the spate of suicide and all the things that he told us, particularly the addictive behaviors that young people usually have, which are not known to their parents. And that is part of what we are talking about this morning. What are the healthy habits? We know about harmful habits, and there is a conversation that we should have around substance use. I mean, you were dead shocked last week when you heard some of the revelations that came out. And by the way, the feedback that Kingsley gave was that if his phone is still ringing as we speak, as a result of that conversation. It is a very important one because parents have an arduous task on their hands concerning their young. So we know about harmful habits that young people have. What are the healthy habits they can defer to when they feel depression, feel anxiety, and all those things? Well, let's have this conversation this morning. Begin the conversation with Joel Uzamere, who is CEO of Institute of Exercise Professionals. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We started this conversation, and we know about harmful habits, substance use, addiction, sexual, stuff, tattoos, and all those other things. By the way, there is a video I saw. I need to go and watch it. What happens when you tattoo? I'm going to have to watch that video. So help us understand, first of all.
Some young people have tattoos all over.
No, that's their dress. Yeah,
yes.
That's their dress.
Yes.
So help us understand what these habits are and what are the things...
The healthy ones.
Yeah, and what are the things that create such hunger in the first place?
Well, so when we talk about things like addictions and the vices that you have a lot of young people have, it's really not a conversation that just one professional or one health professional can have, because it's a combination of both physical, physiological, social, and even the societal well-being of where they are. So what is the culture saying in that society? What is approved? Who are brands endorsing? What kind of culture are people saying it's all right? And it stems from there. People see other people and how they look, and they want to look like that. But speaking about it from the point of fitness or exercise and how that affects addiction, one of the things you will notice for those who are been around a while is that our schooling system has changed now. There's now a lot of concentration more on mental fitness, the ability for your child to get A's, okay? And that is more important. So the child goes to school at 5, leaves the home at 5, gets to school, whatever, and studies all the way. He or she has another class, they call it lesson. Why? Because really, daddy and mommy are actually not around. That's the reality. So they have to do that lesson till maybe 4 o'clock because they want to part. Then they get home, they have to now do the homework of the school. Then they watch TV, screen time, and then they eat and go to bed. And that's their life. And then you're asking why they're not influenced. So at that point, look at the scenario I just painted to you. What part is the parents playing in that kid's life? Where is the physical activity? Where are those things that remove boredom, that doesn't allow kids start looking for things to explore and to do? And so when you talk about this conversation, there is the physical fitness aspect, which, in short, we have to start to hold ourselves accountable. Parents need to ensure that they are not just looking for A students, but they are looking for brilliant. Not just, I'm not saying the students should not be brilliant, but it should be holistic. Your child also should be healthy, and all this is coming from, you see children, young people that are obese, they are depressed. They want something that they cannot get because the other person has it. And so they begin to look for what can help me to suppress this depression. Of course, their parents don't know, have a clue. Because he leaves the house at 5, the wife is off, and so they're eating junk food, destroying their lives. Or they have bad friends, and so they're going for parties, and the guy or the lady says, try this. to make me feel good. And they take it and they feel good. And then that is the norm for them. That is all they've known.
Because all they wanted was just to feel good.
Yes.
Peer pressure.
At the end of the day, that's really what they wanted. They were depressed. And look at where it's coming from. Because there's a lot that exercise does for you. Exercise helps to stimulate your mind. I'm sure you've heard of endorphins and all those other things that the body does for you, where it boosts your morale, your self-confidence.
Now, this thing that you just said, a friend of mine just said it one day. What's she talking about? So she said she generally just had this not so good feeling about herself. And then she decided, let me start working out every morning.
Yeah.
And she told me that after every walk or workout, that's it, a tiny bit intense, that she feels good.
Fantastic.
So I help us understand how that happens.
Fantastic.
And if it is possible to be addicted to that kind of good habit.
Fantastic. I mean, fantastic. And anything you do that makes you feel good, you kind of want to go back and do it again. Okay? And so, the way the body is made, so you have a phone, you didn't make it, there's a way that operating system works. The way God has created the body, it's that it functions best when it moves. That is how it is created. So we have what we call neurotransmitters in the body. There are chemical reactions that happen in the body when you exercise. Even cortisol that's released in the body when you are stressed. Yeah, that stress is because it is an unwanted stress. There's a level of stress that your body needs to get better, but it is those exercises that helps to ensure that you don't feel stressed up to a point of depression, for instance. And so your friend nailed it, in the head, because the fact is, when you move, when you exercise, you feel good. And where I always scream and I have to shout most of the time is that you can get a reverse effect if you over-exercise. Which is.
So how do you then know at what point to stop?
I've said this here before. When you want to get your car fixed, you don't go to a vulcanizer, do you? You go and pump your tire there. If you want to fix your health, you go to a qualified, certified trainer. The person knows exactly how to measure intensity. They are not measuring intensity based on how well they can do the workout. You see, they are going, let's go, 1, 2, they are screaming over the place, but you don't have that energy, you don't have that age, your joints are not as like his own anymore. So it is that measurement, it is that prescribed exercise that helps you do that. And we'll keep saying these things till people get it.
But that's too cumbersome. Sorry, just 1 second.
Yeah.
You talked about you gave an analogy of someone who just said, take this, and the person feels good. And that's it. Now you're talking about having to put in work into feeling good. I don't want to put in any work to feel good.
No, so let me give you the idea. So when we were, well, let me not say when we were in school, because we are not mates, but
when you can say when you were in school.
Yeah. But the point is, if you look at the way the education system was before now, everybody had an activity. Whether it was see that 10-10 that they were playing, and they were jumping from one box to the other, and there was time to play, and to fall, and to roll, and even to cut grass, depending on where you went. There was time to play rugby. Before, sport was a big thing.
Yeah.
Now, that is the exercise I'm talking about. Now, I don't want us to change the conversation away from young ones and how they get into such addictions, even sexual addictions. And the problem is that our school system is becoming more academic in nature, more
than education.
Yes, than the holistic education or the holistic training.
Included play.
Yes.
Exercise.
Yes, and the ability to use your mind. And I was talking to somebody, he said everything is now franchised. You have this idea that children cannot play, there are no toys. How? All the creativity that we had, where we had paper planes and all sort of stuff, is literally gone, because you have to buy toys. So even the toys is indoor. So the boy is not jumping all over the place. His muscles are not growing. He's not strong, and he begins to feel depressed. But he doesn't know he's going to tell mommy. And then he goes to school, and one of his friends says, "If you're feeling down like that, my father, what he does is that I see him take cigarettes.
So
the father of the other one, of course, giving a bad example of what healthy living should be. And they say, smoke is a small thing. There's weed. Secondary school students are smoking with constant normal. It's a normal thing.
No.
And they get addicted to that. It's not enough. They move to pills. It's not enough. So they are living that lifestyle of always being high.
Now, where this is all coming from for me is the parents.
Yes.
You know, I have a fear, and I've spoken to my kids about this, that their generation is dangerously endangered.
I agree with you.
Because now we're talking about these now. Most of the time, their parents are not even aware that these things are happening.
They're not even there.
Shibi is the person that is there that will be aware. So how do we get the reality of the parents themselves are there?
Yes.
We had a conversation with someone once who talked about intentional parenting.
Okay.
Now
we're talking.
How do we get to a place where the parents are aware that these dangers are existing right under their roofs? There's one of the feedback that we've received from last week's episode was that a woman called our guest and said, look, I don't even know how to, my kids can't talk to me, doesn't want to talk to anyone. And you have just highlighted what the problem is, that they are distant and they don't even know how to express what they are going through. So they go to the next best thing that can give them this.
Their peer.
It's their peer.
So how do we do parents begin to address these issues? Because the future is endangered if we don't.
I'm happy you've mentioned this, because the truth is, if we say what the problem is, the question is, are people ready to take the remedy? So, from what the kids eat in the morning, everybody's now doing fast food, Abi. So you get there, you pour one brand into one bowl, you put milk, Abi, you stir, and you eat. Why? Because you have to go out, you have to go out. So I'm still, if you notice, I'm going back to what people are eating. If you notice, I'm going back to what they are eating and not just their friends. Because when you feel down, you need something. That's where they need that. So look at the food that we are eating today because we are in a hurry to go to work. So that's there. Now, if one of the parents, which is per natural order, we had that before, where a woman will say, you know what, instead of working 12 hours, I will work 4 hours. I'll be back home by 2. That is what we had before, where people will say, you know what? So people now, you say, okay, instead of, thank God for the internet, instead of taking a job where I have to sit at work, I will stay at home. You're not staying at home because you want to cook. That's not why you're staying at home. You're staying at home because your children may want to tell you about that friend that I started using lip balm. That's the last conversation I have with my wife and my daughter. This lady that uses lip balm. If I tell how old my daughter is, you will almost fall down. The conversation is already there, but my wife is there to say, okay, really? Oh, that's, well, be careful, because this is something for adults. And the mother or the parent is the one communicating to the child what life is all about. Whether you like it or not, parents have a greater influence on their children than anybody else. That's number one. Number two, when you fix the gaze on your children on entertainment, they are learning how to be women, how to be men from musical videos. They are learning all these things from movies, and you are busy at work. Just take a glance at the music videos and all the things that are on there now. Why won't they want to do what those people are doing? I mean, I'm trying my best not to shout. But parents they think that life is all about taking a child to a great school and having a nice car, put the driver inside, and then you drive the child to school, and then you've raised the child. No.
Just last week, our guest was saying that the children will now tell the dad, don't
bring that car.
Yes.
Bring the Mercedes.
Yes. I don't know what's wrong with us.
Anyway, let's just get to the conversation.
So let me just say something. Parents are the number one people who are responsible for children. After that, you can move to the school and say, what are the schools doing about it?
We have to manage our time.
Yeah.
What role does sleep play in this? Is sleeping part of the good habit?
Yes. So great. Thank you for bringing me back. So a couple of things that will help you to not begin to crave for things and all that. Of course, sleep is number one. But when a child comes back from school and is able, or a young person is able to sleep on time, because they are well rested, they don't wake up tired and fagged out. And then they are looking for things that can help them feel strong. You know what young people are doing now? Energy drinks. From energy drinks, you will move to something else. Because very soon, by the time you destroy your kidney and all that, you will start to look for something else that will help. So, yes, sleep is part of it. So let's just talk about the good things that will help and not bring about addiction. Number one, exercise, endorphins, and other new chemicals that helps the body and helps you feel good. It helps you really feel good. You feel strong. You feel accomplished. I was doing 10 push-ups. Now I can do 15. Great. You feel wonderful. And of course, research shows that exercise helps with your cognitive ability, and that's ability to remember stuff, to read, and to develop and to want to learn more. That's one. So you do exercise. Secondly, is what you eat. You are literally what you eat. So if these young people are eating healthy, they're actually eating healthy, it also affects them. Okay, they don't feel. Imagine if somebody feels bigger than usual. Maybe the person is obese. Immediately, there's a problem with self-esteem. Yeah. They don't feel like they can wear that dress. They don't feel like they can speak like other people, and they begin to have this peer pressure in school. Begin to have issues and stuff like that. So, food is very important, and obviously, sleep is key. So that the person has enough hours of rest, so that they are able to then live that healthy life.
Okay, help me get this. What are the healthy habits that young people who are dealing with a lot can escape into?
Thank you.
In terms of working out and all those things, rather than taking the counsel of their colleagues or their peers who would introduce them to substances that are not healthy for them in the short or in the long run. What are those healthy habits that they can escape into when mommy and daddy are fighting, or some things are happening to them that they can't talk to anyone?
So there are some that I will mention, but you need to be a bit careful about, and because of the sedentary lifestyle that comes with it. There is some benefits to gaming. That means playing games. It has some benefits. Of course, the minute
playing video games.
Yes, it has some cognitive benefits. But of course, anything you abuse becomes a problem, obviously. So that is something that people can do, not of course restricted and planned, and it can help them, because the way games are, you have to finish a particular level to move to another level and all that. Of course, there are many issues with the gaming, because I'm anti-screen for children. I'm purely anti-screen. Personally, my children don't watch TV till it's holiday. Okay? Now, so that is one thing. But another thing is your kids finding what they love. So let me give you an example. My kid may not love playing basketball or football, but he might love carpentry. And so what to do is, in your surrounding, look for a place where your child can go 2-3 hours, 2 hours, maybe 3 times a week, and go and learn a skill. Okay? Now, that has been lost. It used to be there before. My dad actually trained us that way, where he said, just learn something. So that time, instead of having your mind, you're just sitting down, there's nothing to do, you can go to that man or that woman and learn how hard it is to make money, and learn how that if you're not in your right senses, you can't do business, and learn how someone who doesn't have the opportunities that you have is doing well with their business. I mean, you begin to learn a lot just by being in places like that.
It's interesting. My apologies, because we are running out of time. It's interesting that all of these things are factored into fitness.
Yes, it's activity. If you notice, it's activity. It's activity. So I'm not asking the children to go to gyms, because even in the gym there's a plaque that says children are not allowed. I'm saying let them run, let them jump,
let them play.
Let them play. They broke that thing, yes. and it's part of development.
Yes, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, well, that's how. If you allow them to,
I bought it at an auction.
Let me tell you, there's a compound that one plot. 14 families are living there. Okay, that's exaggerated, but let's say, like 4 families are living in one plot. They are going to break your glass, normal, if you want them to play. So at the end of the day, what you do is you want to look for an environment. Whether it's your school, when you're picking a school, you want to think about it. This school, is there a playing ground here? Do they have a swimming pool? If you can't afford that, do they have a field? Can my children run around and play and tumble? Now, we are saying these things, and you may say, oh, but I don't have this. It's your job. You are their parent to look for those things. You're looking for a house. You're looking for, okay, even though I can afford this expensive place, but because I want space for my children, I will take this other place, you know, so that they can play and be able to do that. So those are the kind of things the parent should be thinking about, because it's activity. Get your children to keep moving.
I started by saying that we are beginning the conversation because you talked about children, and they come in different grades and categories
and talents.
Ranges. There is a 5-year-old and less. There is 5-year-old to 12. There is teenage.
The most difficult.
You know, but thank you so much this morning for giving some perspectives and hope some parents have taken some learnings from them. Joel Zamere is CEO, Institute of Exercise Professionals. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.